Again, before we started this conversation, I really jumped into your presentation. I would have thought this would have been a big jumping off point. Okay, now over here in this first half hour, we were talking about metabolic health. Now we're going to shift gears completely, and this has nothing to do with metabolic health. And it really does. I was so surprised to hear you describing how much gratitude can have to do with metabolic health. And we're going to make those links. But before we do, I want to go back into your journey. And rather than talk so much about your health, I want to talk kind of emotionally about the things that led you to this. You mentioned already in this conversation, you mentioned it a little bit in the last conversation. You lost your husband almost a decade ago. That must have been absolutely terrible to have front row seat to that, to know what the diagnosis was and how that was progressing. It was beautiful that you opened your presentation with a picture of the two of you. And on one of the pictures, you said that you were grateful in a sense that this had happened. And it's so hard to reconcile. Like, how can something so terrible be something that she's really grateful for? And so, as much detail as you want to go into, I'll let you decide. But can you tell us kind of how you started to learn about the importance of gratitude in your own life through some pretty difficult events?
Yes. Um, yes, definitely. So, my in Brazil, my grandma used to live with us when I was a child. So, when I was 7 years old, my parents divorced, and they used to fight a lot. So I remember like being afraid sometimes by listening to them arguing with each other. And my grandma used to sleep in the same bedroom with my sister and I. So I would say, Grandma, I would show that I was kind of scared, right? So my grandma would come, and she didn't even know how to write or read. She would sign her names with her thumb, her name with a thumb. But she would come to me and say, "Hey, just close your eyes and talk to God." And I'm like, "How do I talk to God?" I had no idea what God or who God was. And she would say, "God is your friend. Just talk to God as if you would be talking to me." And then I would fall asleep. So I built this relationship with God as my friend, and I take a shower and I'm talking to God. I'm very faithful. But again, this is not about religion, right? This is about your heart. This is about how you connected with the goodness you have in your heart, the goodness from your soul, which for me comes from God, but for each one of you could come from the Creator, the universe, whatever you believe. But anyway, I'm really grateful that my grandma taught me since I was little, because throughout my life I had many things that were difficult. Like my first husband, it was a very abusive relationship in Brazil, with all kinds of abuse, and it was very painful. But I am grateful that I had that time with him. I was not aware of the gratitude, and I want to bring this for each one of you who are going through something very difficult right now. It's impossible to feel gratitude for something difficult that you are going through when you are going through the fire, right? It's when you walked three-quarters of the fire that you are already becoming the fire yourself, that you start finding the gift or the lesson, right? That is in that. So after I divorced, I am grateful because I see that I was trying to run away from my first husband. So I was never home. So I was working so much in Sao Paulo. And I got my PhD. I built such an amazing resume. And that amazing resume opened the doors for me to be in the United States when God brought me here. So, yes, there was something, there was a gift from that situation, right? Uh, when I was here and my husband got sick, I really couldn't see anything that I could be grateful at that moment, because my mom died from ovarian cancer. So I am like, and what am I doing here in the United States for my husband, who was the reason I moved here to the United States, to be dying, right? But he would say, I am grateful because you have the experience that you took care a little bit of your mom. You have the experience because you are a doctor, and you are my wife. You are loving, you are caring, and you are walking this journey holding my hands. So he had the gratitude at that point. I did not. I was mad at God. I was angry. And I know there will be lots of things in my grief journey that I will never understand or I will never accept. But that's okay, because that's God's lane, my husband's lane, and I only control my lane. And but whenever I die, I could ask God, but to be honest, when I die, that's not going to be important for me anymore, right? So I'm just surrendering and releasing. So after my husband died in 2016, the first 6 to 8 months, I was just working, coming home, closing all my windows, blinds, and sleeping. I would be working and sleeping. The only thing that would make me not sleep at a specific time was my dog, which I was so mad that I had a dog, but he saved me, because I would like, oh my God, I just don't want to get up to put this dog to go out to pee or walk with this dog, but I had to do it, so it was good because he saved me. He connected me to life, right? So after 8 to 9 months, I kind of started my questioning, like, I can't do this forever, I connected to my faith again, like there is a reason, there is a lesson, like asking, there is a reason, not a lesson. There is a reason that all this happened. So I got out from why is this happening to me to what does life want from me right now? Right? I'm here. If I'm not dead, I still have something that my soul is supposed to do through my body, right? So I was like, I'm not a victim, right? So what God, and I survived other things, and I survived my husband dying, and I survived burning him, making him become ashes, because I tell myself when I'm going through something difficult, I tell myself, I survived. It's kind of very strong, the visual, because exactly that's the point of telling my brain, I survived burning my husband. I am able to endure whatever comes my way. So so then I started asking, not why, but what is the lesson? What am I supposed to do with my life? What am I supposed to do with everything, with the abuse, with moving abroad, with his illness, with my life? And I started reading about grief and how to heal from grief. And then I met my first grief group that I was a client with, Tom Zuba, Permission to Mourn, which is an amazing book, very little book, very small book. Oh man, I don't have it here, but it's a very small book. And it teaches you to ask questions that definitely connect you uh, with new beliefs. Again, the mindset, right? You start shifting from pain to peace, from scarcity to abundance, from longing to love, and knowing that the relationship continues in a different way because the body dies, but the soul, the spirit, the energy does not. So that's when I did my first group with him. And we started practicing gratitude because it was around Thanksgiving. And we created like accountability partnerships. And the more I practiced gratitude, by just three things. I'm grateful for water. I'm grateful for waking up. I'm grateful for my shower. Simple as that. You don't need to overthink. The more I started practicing gratitude, the more I started seeing that there was beauty around me and that I could allow my husband, his soul, to experiment life with me, through me. And like again, I could build me and I could build the new life with him, not moving forward or moving on, but moving with. And then I started learning more and more about gratitude. And then I got certified with Jay Shetty, which is a monk. And then later on, like last year, I got certified by David Kessler, which talks about building meaning in your grief. And that's how I found gratitude. And then I did this course with Andrew Huberman, which was a course that he did together with a prior Marine. And he gives all the science, right? He gives the science that they evaluated some people, and the people who were practicing gratitude within other 24 traits like kindness and emotional intelligence. The people who were practicing gratitude were the people who felt more optimal in life, felt more connected with life. The other study was showing that people who had cardiovascular disease, they, by practicing gratitude, they decreased stress, they decreased cortisol, they decreased blood sugar, they decreased insulin, therefore they decreased inflammation, they decreased blood pressure, and they improved from the heart disease, right, because they were improving from inflammation. And all this. So he was in another study that I loved because it was with functional MRI, showing that when you practice gratitude, two areas of your brain lit up in the MRI, which are the area that releases oxytocin, which is love, mom's love, bonding, connection, acceptance, belonging, right? Being seen, being heard, being valued, being honored, being understood, which is what all of us want and need as humans. And the other area was the area that releases dopamine. And dopamine is the reward system that we are frantically, whatever, looking on social media. And we don't need social media to give us dopamine. We can build our own dopamine by practicing gratitude or rewiring our brain on how we do the things that are important for us by committing, planning. It's like clarity on knowing what you want, commitment, consistency, repetition, courage to do it, and compassion when you're not knowing that you're doing your best. And the most important, which is the celebration, because we always celebrate others, but we always forget to celebrate ourselves. And if you don't celebrate yourself when you do something for you, which might be this little, but if you don't celebrate, you do not close the cycle in your brain because you do not release dopamine. Dopamine is the reward, and that's when your brain locks. Oh, I can trust her. Oh, she said she was going to do it and she did it. And celebrating yourself is simple as Tony Robbins says in his courses that I did so many. Give a tap on your back, or put a big smile in your face, or high five yourself in the mirror, or hug yourself. I like hugging myself because I like doing that a lot. So when you do that, you are also releasing oxytocin. And other studies showed that when you are practicing gratitude, you are releasing a substance that is called DHEA. And this is an antidepressant substance. So again, gratitude, like Ben Azadi says, is vitamin G because it definitely changes your neurotransmitters, your hormones, your sleep. You know, you could practice in the morning or evening. But what I want to say is that in my conference, in my lecture at the conference, I did explain all the science. But when I finished, I just wanted to people I just wanted people to know that yes, the science is great, but it's knowledge, right? Is awareness. Knowledge and awareness are useless if you don't put into action. So gratitude is what there is a Sioux tribe here in the United States that they say the longest journey of your life will be the journey from your head to your heart.